we have these fixed beliefs, these limiting beliefs, and then whew, we overcome something, and it's like, okay, wow, what else can I do? What else can I achieve?
Welcome to Expanding Wallet, home for empowerment. We inspire greatness and help you learn skills for creating generational wealth. My name is Andrew Clark, and I'm the founder of Expanding Wallet. Years ago, as a senior in high school, we had an all-night party, and the school decided to end that party with a hypnotist. And we gathered into the auditorium, and the hypnotist was on stage, and he told us that he was going to hypnotize about half of the students. And we kind of looked at each other and laughed because we didn't believe it. And he wasn't joking. He hypnotized about half of the students, including my friend sitting next to me. And he had them believing that their hands had melted together and they couldn't come apart. And it was super funny just watching them all try to pull their hands apart. And later, he got one person on stage to believe that they were an alien from another planet, and they started speaking a different language. And that was shocking. And after that, hypnosis to me was both intriguing and a little bit scary. And so when I met today's guest, who happens to be a hypnotist, I had to have her on the show because I want to learn more about hypnotism and then how it works with our brain. And so I figured you as my audience, you might want to also know. So I decided to do an interview. So let me just dive in and tell you a little bit about today's guest. She was the very first automated voice back in the 1980s when she was celebrity radio DJ Stevie Knox. Back then, she hypnotized her listeners to come back day after day. And for the past 16 years, as an integrative hypnotist, she has been using her voice to literally hypnotize her clients into making incredible life changes. She uses hypnosis to help women entrepreneurs get out of their own way. She see the possibilities of where they can go and how to get there. It is my great honor to introduce you to Stephanie Dalfonzo. Hey, how you doing today, Stephanie?
Andrew, thank you so much. Okay, you're getting very sleepy, right? Excellent, Andrew. That's what a lot of people think it is. And, yay for the stage hypnotists because they're the ones who kept hypnosis going. It fell out of favor many, many years ago as a therapeutic tool or technique. And the stage hypnotists are the ones who kept hypnosis going. But I'll tell you, Andrew, there was a guy when I used to I had an in-person office for 10 years, and I actually went virtual 5.5 years ago. The world wasn't ready for it, and now the world has caught up with me, this whole virtual thing. But I would go to these networking events, and this guy who has petrified of me because I'm a hypnotist. And every time I'd walk in, he'd go, watch out, she's going to make you bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. And it was just because he was scared because he didn't understand what it was. So you having that experience, intrigued you and frightened you at the same time. Because when we don't understand how powerful our brain is and we see, wait, he controlled my friend. He controlled this person to think they were an alien and talk gibberish. And we think, that's very frightening. But when you start learning how incredibly powerful our brains are, it's mind-blowing. Like for my first day of hypnosis training 17 years ago, like right around now, it was in the fall, I was just like, oh my gosh, I thought the heavens opened up and the choirs of angels were singing. Like, I found what I was really meant to do because, oh my gosh, change can be this easy. I can do this to help people. And I haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So what got you into hypnosis? Like what got you inspired to do it?
So how did I go from Stevie Knox, this celebrity radio DJ, to a hypnotist? It was out of self-preservation because I was, was this celebrity radio DJ, and when we moved here, where I live in Connecticut, my last job had been in Portland, Oregon, doing the morning show. And we moved here for my husband's job, and my kids were still pretty young. And he was told he needed a liver transplant or he was going to die. Okay, so I had a choice to work at the local radio station for minimum wage, which my ego was too big for that, Hey, I was celebrity radio DJ. So that wasn't an option. And I'm about 2 hours outside New York City. So, I could travel to New York and be celebrity radio DJ, and who's raising my family? So when he got this life-threatening diagnosis, I learned that I could go to school on the World Wide Web, which was still fairly new back then, and I could go to school as a life coach. And so as I started learning these, life coaching, I was like really drawn to something about hypnosis. Was like, I think I need to go check that out. So I looked, and in Connecticut, there were classes that you go for a weekend for 2 days and you're a certified hypnotist. And I was like, I don't think that's quite enough training. So I started looking for, a longer training, and I found this brilliant woman in New York City who offered this 100-hour certification program. And so I spent, I forget how long, how long it was month-wise, but, the weekends going back and forth to New York City to learn this. And I learned she's brilliant. Of anybody I've trained with, she is the most brilliant. So I had my inner GPS guide me to the right person. And she'd never seen this before. Before the training was over, I had rented an office. I had a website, which, was kind of really cutting edge back then. I'd printed brochures and business cards. I'd had a phone installed at the office. Like, I knew this was what I was supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And I haven't looked back.
That's a great story. That's really impressive. So let's dive into how this works with the brain. How does hypnosis work on our brains?
Okay. So if we could do a little exercise.
All right.
Is that okay? All right. Come on. Let's get game here. Game on. All right. So any of your listeners, if you're driving, please don't do this with us. Come back to the recording when you're not driving, right? If you're not driving, if you would just close your eyes or let them come to a soft gaze. And we're going to just play in your imagination. Like, you remember when we were kids, we had these wild imaginations, but then as we get older, it kind of, gets less and less. So we're going to play in your imagination, and I'm going to say see or imagine, because sometimes we can see pictures in our mind's eye. Sometimes we don't. We just imagine. But even if you don't see the pictures, if I say, hey, what color is your front door? You can tell me, hey, my front door is red. So just imagine that you and I are sitting across a table from each other. We're just hanging out. Maybe we're having a cup of tea, or maybe we're having an adult bev, whatever. And for some odd reason, you see me reach into my purse and bring out a lemon. Only it's not just any lemon. It's a Costco lemon. So it's like the size of a grapefruit, right? And you can imagine, whether you see it or imagine, that pitted yellow dimply skin with the two little pointy sides on it. And now, Andrew, imagine that I'm rolling it around on a cutting board to loosen up the juices. And then I take a very sharp knife and I slice it right in half. The juices start spraying, and wow, you can really start to smell that lemony goodness. And then you reach over and you pick up one of the halves and you bring it up under your nose, and wow, now you can really smell that lemony goodness. And now, Andrew and everybody, imagine that you take that half and you open your mouth and you take a big, juicy bite out of it.
Pretty
what
sour.
just happened? Right. Open your eyes. So that is hypnosis. It's simply a focused state of awareness. And we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. So if you think about, if you saw an iceberg, a diagram of an iceberg from the side, and you see 10% above the water, 90% is below, that represents the 10%
Wow.
is our conscious mind. Really? Our conscious mind only is 10%. The subconscious mind is where real change happens. It's what creates why we don't have to think about, I have to breathe, I have to breathe, I have to beat my heart. Like all of these automatic functions are governed by our subconscious mind. And as you just experienced, your subconscious mind does not know the difference between
Right.
real and
Yeah.
imagined. Right? Have you ever driven somewhere and you got there and like, I don't I don't
Yeah.
remember the drive.
Absolutely.
Okay? It's called highway hypnosis. And you're the same age as my daughter. When you all were learning how to drive, you're taking driver's ed. She came home one night and she was, Mom, we talked about highway hypnosis in driver's ed tonight. So it's simply a focused state of awareness. I didn't have any control over you, saying, okay, now, I'm just giving you these suggestions, and you got all
Yeah.
sour in
Yeah,
your
that's
mouth.
true. It's a very good point. So it's really the subconscious that is really mainly in control then.
Very much in control. Albert Einstein said many, many decades ago that a problem can't be solved at the same level of consciousness that created it. So, what does that mean? Oh, the problems get created in the conscious mind, and we go to therapy and we talk and things don't change. It's because it can't. So, when we get into that subconscious, that's where real change happens. If I can share,
Nice.
here's Sarah skydiving out of an airplane. Well, Sarah came to me when she was 19 years old with her crippling fear of flying. And I can still see in my mind's eye her and her mom sitting on the couch in my office, and her mom saying, well, we know exactly when this happened. We were on a plane and blah, blah, blah. And I smiled politely and I said, maybe, maybe not, because I know it's almost
Mm.
never where we think it is, right? So I was able to help Sarah get into hypnosis, get into her subconscious mind. And it, of course, was not what her mother thought, right? It was something else completely, but we were able to free her from it, like do the healing work and free her from it. So she goes on her family vacation to Mexico, which, she came to me because she was not going on that trip. She goes to Mexico. She then, next semester, she is studying abroad. She's taken all these plane trips all over Europe. And I see this picture of her skydiving out of an airplane. That's incredible enough. The whole trajectory of her life changed. I forget, maybe she was studying business or something at the time. She has a very successful business as the 5-foot traveler. You can find her on social media. You can find her website is the 5-foot traveler. And she says right on her homepage, I had a crippling fear of flying. And now she's been to
Wow.
all 7 continents, 144
And
countries,
skydives.
and on and on. And skydives. And, I have a lot of people I don't want to skydive. Well, it's not about skydiving. It's about opening up the possibilities of when you're free. Wow. What does that open up? It opens up everything. If I can show you another one. Here's a little cutie patootie who used to have to be held down by 2
Oh, wow.
adults getting shots. And you can see she's got the mask on. You know that this was last fall getting her flu shot. And so at 11 years old, now she knows anything is possible. And so that's
Yeah.
what really lights me up, Andrew, is, we have these fixed beliefs, these limiting beliefs, and then whew, we overcome something and it's like, okay, wow, what else can I do?
Right.
What else can I achieve? And how exciting is that? You open people to
Yeah.
possibilities, right? You work with people and their limiting beliefs around finances, and then you help them to see things. It's almost like
Yeah,
taking the blinders
absolutely.
off,
Just
right?
when you can see, hey, if someone else can do that, why can't I do that? Or Where am I?
Right.
Yeah, and to that point too, with the limiting belief is what's holding me back. That's the question I think that they start to ask.
Well, yeah, and asking the question is great and it can really get you far. But sometimes these things are so
Mm,
buried so deep in our subconscious mind that we do need someone like me to help, almost like an investigator with a flashlight, like shine the light on
mm,
where's that root cause. Because again, we can't change it at the conscious level. Our conscious mind is so
right.
limited, 10%, right? That's not where I want to play around in. I want to play around in the
So
90%.
let's dive a little deeper into that. So you kind of get really deep into that subconscious mind to get your clients to, as you say, kind of you search like an investigator to pinpoint exactly what the root cause is. And then what happens after that? Now, how do you make that change happen once you identify the root cause?
So I call myself an integrative hypnotist because I have this special sauce of not just hypnosis, all these many, many different techniques that I've trained in for the past 20 plus years. And so I have this incredible gift of being able to, easily and very gently. That is like a core tenet of mine is healing doesn't have to hurt. It can be gentle. And so with me, it's always gentle. So finding where that root cause is, doing the healing work. And then it's very, very important to me that it's not just, okay, we do the healing work and off you go. It's we do the healing work and I teach you specific skills and techniques. In my book, Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom, I have 35 different approaches to calming stress and anxiety. Not because you need to learn all 35, but I want to find the ones that are going to work best for you and empower you. I have this on my wall for years. It is short moments of calm many times a day. And then COVID came, I scratched out a day, and it's we need to have short moments of calm many times an hour because we have to, collectively, I watched the whole globe. We just went into this freeze mode, right? So when we have ways where, when I was young, we had this blow up clown punching bag. It was, sand in the bottom, and then you blow it up, and you punch it, and it would slowly come back up, and and I lived that way for many, many years. That was how I lived my life. And one of the many hats I wear is as a certified yoga teacher, and we just want to wobble, right? Life's going to throw us curveballs, right? It's just part of the human condition. So that my approach is really, yes, we do the healing work and I empower you so that, as you go through life, you can navigate the things that come at you easier. That's not to say that people don't come back. I had a 23-year-old girl come back to me this summer to work on something. I had worked with her 10 years before for her fear of flying, actually. It was not the same one I just showed you. But so, I said, okay, we did this technique and I said, okay, now, afterwards, I want you to get, just a little something, this is a little piece of beach glass or a shell or a rock, something to remind you to do this technique. And she said, oh, I still have the stone you gave me on my first visit 10 years ago. So it's really, my approach is we do the healing work together and let me empower you to, in a way, not need me
Oh,
unless there's a big
that's a
crisis.
great point because I was also wondering how long does hypnosis last? So if you get it today, is there like an average time frame? I'm assuming it probably varies by person by person.
Okay, so hypnosis doesn't have an expiration date on it. It's not like a carton of milk, right? So if it's a fear, poof, it's out of the box. I can stuff it back in there, but it's never going to go back in the same way, right? So once we do that healing work, it's changed. It's done. It's over. It doesn't come back. So whether it's a fear or or limiting beliefs, or whatever it is that we're doing the healing work. Once that's done, it's done. It's different from what you see in that stage hypnosis show, where, okay, he made that person forget her name. Is she gonna never remember her name? No. By the time she's leaving the auditorium, she remembers her name is Sally, right? So those are different. They're just different approaches, right? The deep, lasting changes are not these, flash in the pan for
Okay.
entertainment purposes thing.
Yeah.
Does
So
that
it
make
could
sense?
last, you said, maybe even a lifetime.
Oh, not even maybe. It is. It is lasting changes. And, I had a tagline for many years for my business of simple shifts
I like
create lasting changes. So, this is obviously, I do this to make money, but this is, a core passion in my heart. I know I don't seem really passionate
You seem
about this, but I
passionate.
am.
So let me ask you this question, thinking back, because we were just talking on what happened that night when I was in high school, and how, it could work on about half of the people in the audience. And so my question is, does hypnosis work for everyone?
Just about. It works for anybody who wants it to work and believes in it. It works with someone who has the intellectual capacity to hear what I'm asking them to do and to go there. I had somebody hire me to go work with somebody in a group home, and he wasn't able to follow. He had a brain injury. He wasn't able to follow what I do. When I first started my business, I was good about getting myself in the newspaper, the local newspaper. So I had these two men come the same week. They weren't going to let me have control over them. And I was brand new. Now I would know, okay, you know what? Not a fit. So there was no way I was going to be able to help them. So it's, you can't be hypnotized against your will, right? So when they do the stage hypnosis, when they're doing that, your hands are stuck to glue, they're trying to pull them apart. And the harder you try, the more stuck they get. They're weeding out who is open to the suggestions. Yeah. So pro tip, most people don't.
And that was
enter,
how
so
he knew who to pick
good
to
on
go
you.
on stage later, because I noticed it was the same people who
Yeah.
really had their hands stuck. But he did mention one thing that I just remembered as we were talking about this was, I think he mentioned that people who are usually more susceptible are those who, I think they dream more, is what I believe he said. They dream more. I don't know. Is that something that you've heard, or is that maybe just part of his act? I don't know.
It might be part of his act. I've never heard it.
So I just wanted to ask that question. And then I want to ask you this, because now I'm thinking about this on, maybe a global scale, and some of the things that I've seen. If you've seen the documentary, The Social Dilemma on Netflix, my question is, do you believe that social media companies like Facebook are using hypnosis-like methods to control our actions?
Yes, very much so. And it's sad. You can use anything for good or not good. And there's a fine line in my mind between hypnosis and brainwashing. And I think that they use some similar approaches, but I think that the social media really is more brainwashing. I was in this incredible event put on by a group called Wisdom 2.0. They have, I think for 10 years, they've been having these big gatherings in San Francisco where they bring the top leaders of the mindfulness movement and tech leaders, like from Google and all these big companies, together to talk about, okay, how do we integrate technology with mindfulness? And they talked about that these are divine. These are designed to be addictive. The notifications, you get those pings, you get a dopamine hit. You get a dopamine hit, you want another one. So they use the apps, they use the sounds, they use the media, they control
Right.
what you're seeing on social media. I mean, that movie was
I thought so too.
frightening,
I
to be
really
honest
thought
with
so
you.
too. Definitely. And so, I mean, what do you recommend? Because, I mean, I'm definitely in agreement with you on this, because one of the things that I'm a big believer in is critical thinking and this self awareness. And, I feel that pull to the phone. I feel that pull when I know, hey, I'm supposed to be doing this. Oh, wait, there's that notification. I really want to look at it. And so what do you recommend maybe for people? Is there a recommendation or something that people can do to try to, kind of empower themselves, I guess?
So the first thing with any change, Andrew, is the awareness. And so you already have that piece, that awareness piece. And somebody listening to what I just said about it being addictive, that might be brand new information that they've never thought of before. And so first is that awareness. Second is, I was sharing with you before we started recording, a gentleman I was working with today, and he came for his golf game. He wants to play a better golf game, and so I said, okay, it's going to impact all areas of your life because your golf game is not separate from your home life, is separate from your work life, right? So it's all interchangeable. So I asked him, how he starts his day, and he grabs his phone, he's doom scrolling from the word go, and that is not the best way to start the day. So I invited him. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with these headphones tonight. I gave him three different options because I don't tell my clients what to do. I'll extend an invitation and say, okay, here's a choice, a choice, a choice. So he said, absolutely not. I am not. And it was just for 3 days. I am not turning the notifications off. Okay. As I said, you don't have to. What if I forget what the second offer I gave him was. And he was like, oh, how about starting the day with a 5-minute meditation? No, that's not going to happen. I said, okay. And option number 3 is, can we do a good minute to start the day? And that's how I start my sessions with all my clients is we have a good minute. I don't say we're going to have a minute of meditation because some people might not like the connotation of meditation. But who's going to push back on a good minute, right? Oh, a good minute can mean whatever you want it to be. So he agreed to take one good minute when he first wakes up, another good minute somewhere in his morning routine, in his morning business time, and sometime with his afternoon business time. So it's baby steps, right? If I say to somebody, okay, you know what? Just turn off all your notifications forever and ever. Most people are going to say, no, that's not going to happen. So it's the awareness. And, oh, Andrew now has this awareness that I have this pull. So, oh, the next time I hear that notification, could I take a breath and just follow? And if you would do it with me now, Andrew, take a breath through your nostril, noticing how it comes in at the tip of your nose, and it's cooler, and it goes down your throat, through your chest, down into your belly, and then follow it back out, up through your belly, your chest, your throat, out through your nostrils, noticing it's warmer when it comes out. That might give you the opportunity to respond
Right.
instead of react. Right? That's what happens when we hear those notifications. It's like, ding, react. I've got to look at it. So that's just a
Right.
small baby
Right.
step, right?
That's great. Yeah, I really like that. And I've heard this in a lot of areas, but awareness is usually the first step for change.
Oh, it is definitely. Because if you don't know,
Right.
you don't know what you
Exactly.
don't
So
know.
if you're like, hey, there's no problem here, first acknowledge it, right?
Right. Well, and I've earned all of these. I've watched when, again, my daughter is the same age as you. When she was 4 years old, there was a 6-year-old boy from down the street who came over with all the other kids, and he's in the corner and he's playing some
Oh,
game. And I was like, well, that doesn't look right. He's over there. Everybody else is interacting and playing with each other. Then, she's 14 and MySpace and LiveJournal were coming out, and they're putting all their information on this internet, which is still kind of brand new. And so her friends call me the stalker mom because I had her password information. I was like, you are not putting your personal information. So I watched this arc of how, and at that conference that I mentioned I was at, Tony Fadell, who was the inventor
wow.
of the iPod, the first generation of the products. He was also involved in the first 3 gens of the iPhone. And his family, they have a no phone, no device Sunday policy. All of them, including mom and dad. It's not just for the kids. And he said, I wonder if my grandkids are going to say, he's the one who ruined
Wow.
society.
Yeah,
That's
that's
pretty chilling,
powerful.
yeah?
What do you recommend for parents? Because, I'm, like you said, I'm the same age as your daughter, and there was a period where I grew up for a long time, right, without the phones, without the devices. And so for me, I know what it's like to go without a device. And I actually didn't even get a cell phone until I was 16. So I just wonder, what it's like for kids these days and teens, adults, younger adults, but what it's like growing up like that for them.
I I don't know. I think that again, there's the yin and the yang, the good and the not
Hmm.
good of everything. And so I think that we need to be able to navigate, not just for ourselves, but especially, parents of young children, navigate how to use this technology
Right.
in a positive way. So, I use my phone to listen to meditations. It doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, but if I'm playing games, which I don't have any games, I never have had any games on. If I'm just playing games all the time, it was really sad to me. This was probably at least, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. I'm in a restaurant out to dinner, and I see this young family, and mom and dad both on their phones, and then there's a tablet showing some kind of a movie or a TV show or whatever for the baby in the high chair and the toddler sitting next. And it was like, okay, this is like, but that's, how do you navigate it when your whole life you've known technology? You've never known, you and my daughter have known when there wasn't technology. So I think it's really, really difficult for parents
Yeah,
of young children
I
these
see the same
days.
thing happen as well. So um, I'm also perplexed by it because I'm just thinking too as a parent, but I think that parents are also drawn to it. So it's kind of tough to pull your kids away when a lot of parents are also drawn to it. But I think that it definitely starts with that self awareness and then setting the rules. But what you said about Tony and the iPhone and the Sundays, I mean, that says a lot.
Yeah, yeah. When the inventor of this first, iteration of this technology is saying our entire family, it's nope, Sundays off limits. So, I guess to answer, what would I say to young parents to have those boundaries and hold to them? And it's not always easy. I know it is not always easy, but when you're enforcing those boundaries and your kid's having a meltdown, play this what's right now game. So, Andrew, what's right
This
now for
interview,
you?
I'm here, I'm present.
Yes, yes. And so when we can start saying, oh, what's right now? It brings us into the present moment. It takes us off, looking at what's not going right. And as you start looking for gratitude, things to be grateful for, it drops your cortisol, the stress hormone, by 23%. When you start feeling gratitude, not just thinking it, but feeling gratitude, it gets your body to produce dopamine and serotonin, which are the
Nice.
happy
Well, that's good
hormones.
to know. Very good to know.
Yeah,
And talking about the happy hormones, I will make sure to put your book, Goodbye Anxiety, Hello to Freedom, in the description below. Yeah, definitely.
great.
And
Thank
then,
you.
is there anything that you have for listeners, maybe? Someone wants to get in touch with you or some type of guide,
Yes.
maybe?
Yeah, I have a beautiful meditation that is called Your Own Private Paradise. And you can get that at meditatewithsteph, STEPH.com. It's completely free. It's just, you get it and then you're on my email newsletter, and I'm not obnoxious with the newsletters or whatever. It's just, first of all, this meditation it becomes a completely unique experience for each person. So again, you can see I'm very passionate about it. And I think it's 11 minutes, so it's not really long. So even if you don't meditate every day, or even if you've never meditated, you can listen to this and like, oh, okay, here's a gift that she's giving me that I can choose to put on the shelf, or I can play with it and see how might it
Yeah, that's
transform my
beautiful. And
life.
I'm a big believer in doing morning meditation myself, even if it's just a lot of times it's just 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes of a quiet mind, to start the day can really set your day off to a good start. So I love that. I'll actually definitely put that in the description
Well,
too, and I'll check it out myself.
thank you. Well, and just a quick aside about, how you start the day. How you start the day totally affects if you have
Mm,
sleep issues. So if anybody here has sleep issues, think about, how do I start my day? I know we're running out of time. I'm going to tell you one quick story and then I will zip it. Years ago, I had a gentleman come to me for insomnia. And I said, well, how do you wake up in the morning? Oh, with an alarm on my phone. I said, great. Would you play it for me? It was like a big alarm on a ship, right? And I was like, okay, you're shocking your system
mm.
from the word go. So I'll zip it with that and just, okay, awareness. How do I
Wow.
start my
So
day?
start with a little bit more softer alarm. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have an alarm like that. And it's funny because you mentioned, people sleep better depending on how they start their day. And one of the things is I probably don't get enough. I know I don't get enough as much sleep as I should. However, I do know by the end of the day, when it's time for me to go to sleep, I am out and I sleep really good. So
Well, and you're starting the day setting up the
yeah,
foundation. So two
so
thumbs up
that's
on that,
that's good to know.
Andrew.
I never connected the two, so that's why I just brought that up. And then, how do people get in touch
Nice.
with you? Like, how can they contact you?
Um, they can find me at stephaniedalfonzo.com. And then,
Okay,
there's a
perfect.
contact
So
page.
just through your website, then got it. And then for listeners, if you haven't gotten my 5 keys to success guide, basically what I would say are probably the most important things that have helped me to change my life. I'll have that link in the description below, and definitely check it out if you haven't, because your success is not an accident. And then lastly, remember to learn all that you can, believe in yourself, and take actions that allow you to grow.